Good morning, gentlemen, and welcome back to term three. Unfortunately, I've got a bit of a flu and I can't be in. The only good thing about it is that it's not COVID, so that's good. But look, we're doing algebra, so what we need to be doing is this morning is revising to get rid of those holiday cobwebs. So go to the class page and then the unit page. Of course, you do have your work outline. So what we're going to do this morning, I want you to go through 5A, 5B, 5C and 5D. We've also done expanding brackets and we want to have a look at factorising expressions. We've had a bit of a look at that, and then applying algebra. So this morning, what you need to be doing is just revising, going through the textbook, The Language of Algebra. Now, there are quite a few videos by Miss Sangari and also by me. So I want you to go over those and just refresh yourselves with the terms of algebra, what they mean, their definitions and how to use them. Then, of course, from the language of algebra, if you've done this, it's just revision. Then we moved on and had a look at substitution and equivalence. So algebra being that ability in maths to be able to work with an unknown or an unknown value or values. So we substitute a value to ask what if. Now that's an essential part of that. So that was 5B, and we certainly did that, had a look at that. So I want you to go and have a look at those as well, refresh yourself with those. Then 5C, we were having a look at adding and subtracting terms. We can only add and subtract like terms. They have to be exactly the same. Like terms are those terms that are exactly the same variable or pronumeral. So we remember that and being able to do that. We can multiply and divide unlike terms, but we cannot add or subtract. And it's often called collecting the like terms when you add or subtract the ones that are exactly the same. Now, multiplying and dividing, you can go over that. That's fairly straightforward. It's just 4AB times 3C is the same as 4 times A times B times 3C. And multiply the 4 and the 3, then the ABC, and of course it's 12AB. So we're able to do that. So you can refresh yourself with these. And when we divide, we can cancel down, or we can cross cancel the same way. When we cancel down, such as this one here, simplify these fractions, the highest denominator or the lowest common denominator, highest common factor that will go into those is going to be 4, going to this 3 times, going to that twice. 5 is the one here. And we do exactly the same with these here. And expanding them out, you can see the expanded form and simplified form. Of course, unknowns can be applied to formulas or formulae. Now, the area formula, length times width, is an algebraic equation. So we can change around when you multiply terms. AB or LW are terms. So we can substitute a value and find an area or a perimeter of a shape. So remember that we can do that and cancel down. Then adding and subtracting that we didn't do. The algebraic fractions, we're not doing that one. And we're not doing F, but we are doing G. Oops, sorry, scrolling through a page at a time here. So, but we are doing G. So I want you to go through that. Expanding brackets. Now to expand the bracket, the is just means anything inside the bracket is multiplied by anything outside the bracket. So at this point here, this 3 and minus 7b are multiplied by the 2. So we end up with 6 minus 14b. Okay, so we are multiplying anything inside the bracket by whatever is outside the bracket, and it's called the distributive law. In this instance here, you distribute A across B and C. And again, you can use it to find areas, because an area formula is one dimension multiplied by another dimension, and that gives us an area. So you need to go through and make sure that you have an understanding of expanding terms. Expand the following using the distributive law. Of course, 5 would multiply 3x becomes 15x plus 10. So if we have a situation where we have a negative, then a negative times a positive equals a negative, and a negative times a negative will equal a positive. Now a bracket, you can see here, just whatever is inside the bracket is multiplied by whatever is outside the bracket. Then we moved on to factorizing, which is the inverse, or the equal and opposite and equal of multiplying out brackets. When we factorize, we put a bracket in. So if we were looking for the factors of 6x and 15, the highest factor would be 3. So we have 3 bracket and 3 times 2x plus 5, and that's what we get here. So you can expand that out to this, and you can factorize 6x plus 15 to 3 bracket 2x plus 5. So we are doing this, finding the highest common factor. Again, get some of these ideas down and examples of how to do them into your summary book. We're looking for the highest common factor. Remember that term, highest common factor. And the highest common factor can be a variable or a pronumeral, or it can be just a straight number. Right? Factorize the following. The highest, we've done that one there. The highest factor here would be 6. Right? 6 would be 6a. 6a goes into 12a, and 6a also goes into 18ab. Okay, so you've got this here. 6a times 2, 6a times 2, and then 6a times 3b. So the highest common factor is going to be 6a. And the factorised form of 12a plus 18b will be 6a bracket 2 plus 3b. So you can make sure that you are up to date with that. That's where I would like us all to be. And we can move on and then start applying algebra. If you're up to that, then your work can be for this morning. If you are totally happy with what you've done and got everything into your summary book that you need, then you can move on to 5i, which is applying algebra, and where we can apply it in various situations. Don't forget, there are quite a few videos that you can do. For here, all of them, it says 4, but that's fine. It was based on last year's decks, but they're exactly the same thing. So this morning is a revision lesson to get the holiday cobwebs out of our brain and make sure that we are up to and including expanding and factorizing terms. Thanks, fellas.